Notable Live is your fast track to one-of-a-kind experiences with your favorite athletes, like race day with Emmett Smith and Jesse Arugi, game day with Eddie George, or fishing with Ray Lewis.
And we got a party going on over here.
So, rev up your fan experience with Notable Live, your direct connection to the athletes you love and the memories and memorabilia you crave.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Check out our latest events and auctions at notable.live.
I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself.
Just for you to watch what I'm doing. God-given gift, them seeds doing the running man. If you want me to get it poppin', may cost 100 pence. Yeah, what I supply is always in demand. The throne is mine, take that. And then a high five got the upper hand. I'm too real, can't fake that. Who you know putting fear in them like this? You a vampire, still suck when you bite this. Lord forgive me for my sins, I'm feeling righteous. But they've been next to me to show me I might just. They didn't think I could do it, I had to demonstrate how the flow is so heavenly, keeping demons straight. Who they fooling? I showed them the jig is up again. When I asked them who is the best, they get this to stuttering. Tell them
I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself.
I can't lose, I won't lose. I can't lose, I won't lose. You may wanna save yourself, I think it's best you run away, I won't let you finish. Make it to the top with the same ones I came with. I shoot my shot, you better know that I'ma never miss. When they coming for me, yeah, I'm gonna tell them this.
I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. I'ma keep. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you wanna go play yourself. That's right.
Do you want to go from virtual to reality? Racing in the eRacing Association Omega Cup Series gives you that opportunity. We put on virtual events 4 times a year with $5,000 on the line every single time. 4,000 of that goes to the winner. And the top 5 now get an opportunity to go drive real-life race cars with the NASCAR racing experience at one of their 18 locations nationwide. Here's your chance to go from virtual to reality. Head to the link in our bio so that you can get registered with ERA now.
All right, ERA members, thank you so much for being participants in our eRacing Association and competing in all of our events. We had a lot of participants' names on the car for this weekend here at Talladega. We want to thank every single member out there for having your speed pass and being a member of ERA and competing in all of our events. We look forward to hosting many more events on many more platforms, and it's going to be for you. Thank you so much for everything you do, ERA. Let's get racing.
Live from iRacing's virtual Echo Park Speedway just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the eRacing Association Omega Cup Fallbowl on RaceSpot TV and the iRacing Esports Network. We are ready for an Omega Cup first here in Hampton, Georgia, and we're excited that you are with us here tonight as we get set for another big money iRacing special event, and happy that you're hanging out with us at the booth as always. Myself, Evan Pasoko, Justin Prince, and Jesse Awuji on the call with you guys as always. And Jesse, I'll bounce to you first on this one because we lean on your expertise quite a bit as somebody who's competed in many of the different NASCAR ranks through the years, but we have never seen this Atlanta Motor Speedway here in the Omega Cup. So instantly a lot of ties going to be brought to the Daytonas, the Talladegas, and well, yet races like a super speedway. This track truly is something unique we've never seen in one of these races before.
Yeah, this is the first time we've done Atlanta, and it should be pretty fun. Similar kind of tendencies as these super speedways we've run. We've run Talladega, we've run Daytona, but this one's different. The speeds are different, right? I remember the first time I ever ran Atlanta in the Xfinity Series in 2022 when they had just done the whole repave and we're going into it. And I remember I was speaking with one of the JRM drivers, Junior Motorsports drivers, and they're like, they had done some of the tire testing prior, and they're like, this is like the fastest you'll ever feel in any corner in your life. And I was like, whoa, this is going to be crazy. So when we got there, that's what it was. I mean, when you're going through those corners, the G-forces were just like pulling you down. You're like trying to keep your head up. And you're like, ugh. So it was pretty crazy. It's pretty wild. But these drivers, they're doing it in the virtual world. So they're not going to be feeling those same G-forces. But it is that pack racing. Things happen very, very quick. Like at least at Daytona and Talladega, it's a little bit slower because the corners are a little bit longer sweeping. But here at Atlanta, it's a 1.5 mile track. So it's actually not that big for the super speedway style racing. So things could get very interesting very quick, and all it takes is one little mistake and you could wipe out not only yourself but a lot of other people. So patience is very, very much key. We talk about it at the super speedways, but at a place like Atlanta, it is crucial.
It is, and it's not only a mile shorter than Daytona, even more so than Talladega, but tighter as well. And Justin, drama kicks off early, like at all of these Omega Cup events. I think we had 54 hopefuls who participated in qualifying heats on Monday, making it to tonight's session instantly. Right now, the final seconds of knockout qualifying going on. We are instantly going to cut this field down from 54 to only 40 who will make the feature.
Yes, indeed, and a lot of names tried to qualify for tonight. Overall, 52 drivers were a part of the qualifying session. And to say the very least, we know how important it is to set a proper time. The cutoff for qualifying, I can tell you this, was within about 21 thousandths of a second. But some names like Michael Cozy Jr. did not put qualifying times down, Evan, so they're amongst those not above that cut line amongst the 40.
Yeah, and in order to get the qualifying time allowed, your lap must be clean. So just because there's no time on the board, somebody may have attempted a lap but had some sort of a penalty, right? If you make contact with the wall or go off track on the inside, that would disallow you from having a clean lap. It means that you would not be eligible to compete in the feature. Let's take a look, Jesse, at what is up for grabs. This is a familiar page for us. Over the course of the history of this ERA Omega Cup, we've seen more than $100,000 in cash and prizes awarded since 2020, and tonight that $5,000 prize pool continues. Only eligible for drivers who are Speed Pass members, so drivers who compete in these ERA events on a weekly basis. But the big highlight, of course, as always, $4,000 to the winner tonight continues to mean that these Omega Cup events are some of the biggest single race payouts you'll find anywhere in pro sim racing.
That's the one thing that we do pride ourselves with, is being able to give out this much money for these events. And the members, I know they've been pretty happy, especially the ones who have come first place and gotten that whole $4,000. But even second, $500 is still really good. $250 for third, $150 for fourth, and $100 for fifth place. I mean, that will pay your dues right there for a year or two or three, depending on where you're at, or more. I mean, even some of these drivers have taken some of the winnings and put it into their real life racing ventures. So it's a good amount of money. It's been great, and we look forward to continue to do these events. We actually, in 2026, we might be shaking it up a little bit and changing some things up, and maybe even changing the format of how we do these. More to come. Nothing released on that yet, but just know that 2026 might be a little bit different, a little bit crazier.
Well, we always love poking at you for some teasers on these, so we're looking forward to what the team is cooking up next. And as qualifying wraps up, let's bring in a special guest into the broadcast booth, because Bobby Zelensky is no stranger to these events. He's also no stranger to the ERA name, because he ran for the ERA esports team in the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series this year, en route to a 7th place finish in the driver standings. The ERA team was 5th in the driver standings. So, Bobby, you're coming off of a long, hard-fought Coke Series season, competing once more in one of these Omega Cup events. What's the prep been like for somebody like yourself who competes pro level here on the sim to prepare for a special event like this?
Well, with the track we're at, it's kind of like a Daytona or Talladega, so there's really not much prep you can really do until you actually get into the real thing. I mean, we had the heat races Monday, and you get a little taste of what the draft's going to be like, but there's no way to really prepare for this. And I think that makes it kind of even playing field for everybody, because going in a room against AI isn't the same at all as 40 real people. So just been chilling, just in a good headspace and ready to have some fun.
How would you describe the feel of the car here tonight in terms of what you expect? Because Jesse alluded to how much grip roll it feels like in the corners, and of course, these cars don't like to necessarily stick in a line. What's kind of that feel of the car that you've been feeling entering tonight in terms of your experience here?
I think the biggest thing you're going to see is in general, one of the quirks about the aero and drafting model is when a car gets right up on your bumper, you get really loose. And if you're in the lead, here you're going to see a leader get really loose if they try to bump draft them in the corners, especially. That's one thing I experienced on Monday night a little bit. So that's something you're going to have to watch out for while commentating and seeing the little wiggles here and there. If a car gets right up on someone's bumper in the corner, it gets squirrely.
Well, obviously, I mentioned you're no stranger to these events. Last time we saw you win one of these was the Summer Bowl that was back on a road course at Road America in 2022. We know you are very proficient at the road course races here on the sim. So in a field like this, where you're going to have fellow competitors, other drivers who you've seen on these other Omega Cup events, and then maybe some guys you haven't competed against, it's a 100-lap race. We know the racing itself is kind of unpredictable until you get into it. What percentage of this race do you kind of treat as a bit of an R&D session, and when do you start kind of making moves? When do you flip that switch to try to look for the race win?
Yeah, we got 100 laps here, so it's not too long. I'm really just trying to survive at the beginning, but at the same time, I just want to go out there and race, try to get the lead and such. So I think everyone will kind of learn as we go along here, and we kind of know what to expect, right? It's drafting and such, but try some stuff early, but got to make it to the end. I mean, these races are all about making it to the end in good position. I've had a good amount of success in my iRacing career on super speedways as well, so I know what to do. So hopefully it works out.
Well, congrats on qualifying for this one. We appreciate your time. Best of luck out there.
Thank you.
It's Bobby Zelensky, no stranger to a big moments here on the iRacing service. He's a previous Omega Cup winner, and he is looking for a second here tonight. Well, qualifying has drawn to a close, and the drivers are about ready to get things underway. So let's head trackside for tonight's opening ceremonies. It starts with the performance of our national anthem by our mandolin or Wuji.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
You're in the race today. Drivers, start your engines.
And with that, we head trackside to take a look at tonight's starting grid. Based on knockout qualified, 52 drivers entered, only 40 made the show, and it was Peter Smetana, fastest of them all. The number 53 will bring us to the green flag tonight. He'll be joined on the outside of the front row, a 2/1000th of a second difference to Wyatt Gray, who starts in P2. And then Jacob Smetana, inside row number 2, starts third. Garrett Maines will roll from the number 4 position. Dylan Alt will start in the number 5 spot tonight. And then rounding out row number 3, Justin, it's Cody Harris.
Timothy Holmes starts himself in 7th tonight. A bit of a throwback. Haven't seen that name in a while. But it's Andre Castro coming off a good run in Toyota GR Cup competition in the virtual side from 8th. Adam Garza, one of the top drivers you can find on this type of racing in 9th, with Bobby Zelensky in the top 10. Jordy Lopez makes an appearance tonight with Matt Busa rounding out your top 12 two Coke drivers in row 6.
And that gives lucky number 13 to Daniel Everhart. He'll start it on the inside, right number 7, next to the 14 of Jeff Merck. Sean Conklin starts 15th tonight with Noah Rainwater alongside in 16th position David Pachal, and 17th Dylan C. Jones in P18.
Super Speedway ace Malik Ray starts off the 19th with Hayden Swank down in 20th. 39/1000ths back here, the difference. Yep, Stephen Miles in 21st spot. Logan Clampett makes an appearance in 22nd. Jackson Crowder and Cole Larson, the top 24.
And continue down through past halfway home. Luis Vega will start 25th with Daryl Young in the number 26 spot. Yakov Kursadov and Michael Prince will make up for 14 with Chris Wetz and Derek Fulton, your top 30.
Well, it's an unusually short track racer. DeAndre Kane starts 31st. Larry McDonald comes over from league scenes tonight. He misses his league race for this tonight. Chase Swank and Will Alvis, along with Aaron Mack and Garrison Hogan, usually in the setup building, 36.
And to round things out with Henry Wyndham, Jason Rajak, Alex Thurber, and Alex Jones, your top 40. That is the cut drivers 41st on back do not make the show. So Cameron McCone, the next driver you saw in line, 2/100ths of a second, the difference that keeps him out of this Omega Cup Fall Bowl. As we get set for 100 laps of fixed setup racing, $5,000 prize pool stands between us and the checkered flag, and we're happy that you're with us as always for this special presentation of Race Spot TV on the iRacing Esports Network. It's Peter Smetana in control of the field for an Omega Cup first. Let's go racing in Atlanta. Trouble already in the turn number one. It's Jacob Smetana who gets turned in front of the field, and an early caution for an early mess, no more than 15 seconds after the green flag.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I said it. The smallest little mistake, the smallest little thing could cause you by yourself to wipe out, or you taking out quite a few people, and we just saw it.
We know these races are crazy, Justin, but I mean, they hadn't even had a chance to get to fourth gear, I don't think, by that point.
I think they were still in third gear, absolutely. Keep in mind, both the Smetanas got a warning from race control just before that for technical issues, and I think that's part of the cause. Look at this. You see how the 47 Dylan is pushing? The technical issue causes him to basically warp inside, and that actually caused him to technically spin the inside of the 32, and then everybody else, just no place to go as they stacked up on the racetrack. Just have to slam the brakes. You're not expecting an incident. Lap 1, turn 1. That really shakes things up as a result here. A lot of cars already damaged.
Yeah, you saw a lot of drivers come spinning into that were not a part of the initial contact on row number 2. But Jesse, to Justin's point, I mean, you are, in many cases, quite literally physically on the bumper of the car in front of you right off of a restart like that, pushing the other drivers to get going. You're not expecting it, and you just can't see. I mean, there's no opportunity. There's the smoke. Daniel Eberhardt's going to use every inch of that paved apron to avoid it, but a lot of drivers behind him weren't as fortunate.
When I ran Atlanta for the first time in 2022, the first race I ever had with this new pavement and the new banking, my car, I don't even know how it survived to even get to the end of the race, because at the end of the race when I looked at it, I'm like, this doesn't look like a car that should have finished at all. I mean, it was so damaged up, it was so beat up. I mean, I got spun so many times, I got hit so many times, I got ran into so many times. I mean, it was all bad, but we made it to the end. But that's what happens here in Atlanta. There's just not a lot of room, so anything that does happen, I mean, you just gotta hope that you can maybe find some little area to squirt through, but it's difficult.
Good opportunity to segue into the conversation about quick repairs. As always in these Omega Cup events, one single quick repair is made available to the drivers in the field. Many drivers who got heavier contact in that incident may have to burn that quick repair. Basically, they can come down and get a clean sheet, brand new race car without having to spend any time in the box actually physically getting that car repaired. Normally, there's a little bit of strategy on if you get some minor damage, maybe you don't burn it, you come down, you sit in pit road, get it fixed up. But anytime you're super speedway racing, and again at Echo Park Speedway here in Atlanta now falls into that bucket, that one extra quick repair, not something you want to depend on, Justin, but it's good to have, and some drivers may have to use it. Sounds like Jacob Smetana has already burned his one and only. That is not surprising. He was the driver around from row number 2 that kicked off that incident.
And quite simply, you don't want to use it too early, hence why I think so many people are just taking the manual repair and send them the pain later, then take it later on if the opportunity presents itself. You don't want to put yourself in a spot where you get into an air wreck even a few laps later and you're out of the race so early with so much money on the line. So it's about planning and hoping there's some attrition later on so you can get yourself some repairs to be able to plot and plan. Remember, these drivers still have to pit at least once to make it on gas as well, so you have that opportunity to eventually use it if you do end up needing it. But these drivers up front, we'll see how well they push here this time. As race control says, let's try this again.
And they'll stay double file for this attempt. with no changes on the front row, with the exception of Peter Spatana, who is no longer in that control car position. That ties back to when the incident happened. He had lost the lead position, was scored in second at the moment of yellow, and then under the caution flag brought the machine down pit road. Again, I mentioned they may have been having some technical issues. So now it is the 23 on time and in scoring of Wyatt Gray on the front row. He's going to be next to Garrett Maines on the outside. So a fresh look, row number 1. Let's try this one again. Still plenty of racing to go here in Atlanta. Control car Gray on the inside gets us started once more. Green flag back in the air.
We got further along this time here, Evan. Quite simply, the bottom line, though, the fast line, it seems, with the momentum. Keep an eye on the outside to see where these runs come, especially with Wyatt Gray wanting to try and block both of them off, control this race lead, keep the clean there in front.
And we mentioned there's going to be a lot of Daytona and Talladega talk, Jesse, but you mentioned it just feels faster here. The wall's closer. It's not as wide. It's a shorter track. And even these visuals getting up to speed, they look like they're going a million miles an hour compared to those other bigger tracks.
It really does. I mean, just because it's just such a tight track with it being 1.5 miles. And I absolutely love these camera angles that iRacing has on here. And it gives the opportunity for Race Spot to provide this amazing look for the viewers to watch this. I mean, it looks so real. I mean, just how far sim racing has come over the years. Every single year, this continues to get better and better and better. You know, even iRacing now has its console counterparts now with the NASCAR 2025. But yeah, it's watching these different angles, even the ground angles, different camera angles from all over, just seeing the speed, you can really sense what these drivers are experiencing. That's why they're so focused as you look at some of these onboard cams. And when I say onboard, in their bedroom cams, watching some of these drivers, honed in, focused, and just trying to hang on.
And things are tied up and condensed in what we'll call the first 15, 20 cars or so. You jump on board with Adam Garza. That's the 4th car in line on the outside of the racetrack. Started on the bottom on his respective row for the race, but it got shuffled to the outside with the timing of the first yellow. He now finds himself up top. 3 wide, certainly playable at some of the other tracks. I'm not going to say we won't say it here tonight, but look at the perspective from the outside. There's not a lot of space to the right-hand side of those cars should somebody want to make a 3rd lane later on in the night. You heard it from Bobby Zelensky when we talked to him, Justin. He's not that worried about making any crazy moves early, although maybe that's easy for him to say because he qualified so well. He's a top 10 car, and he's right to the left of the car we're on board with, Garza.
Yeah, he's in a decent position, track position-wise, to be able to work. And we have some trouble in the back of the field. Seen a couple cars scrambling. No rainwater, and Cole Larson just went around. And that puts us under caution. Was just about to say, lanes aren't the panic there, but you have to be careful on where you blend. And in this case, things got interesting with Logan Clampett also involved with some contact.
And unfortunately, it balloons into more than just a single car accident. As always in these Omega Cup events, we are not dependent on the automatic iRacing caution flags to come out. Live race control, keeping an eye on things, but any incident with 3 cars or more will be a yellow. And you see, well, it started with just rainwater there off the corner. The 20 got collected, and then so did the, we'll call it the 11 or the 90 coming by. That made it at least 3 or 4 drivers involved in that incident off to turn number 3. So it is close quarters racing, maybe not quite short track parallels, but certainly physical early in this one. And I think that is something we've seen a lot in these events. I mean, Jesse, we're used to seeing a lot of drivers. Timothy Holmes is an iRacing pro, right? I mean, this is not a field of just Joes. There's some pros, some Joes, right? It's a good, healthy mix. We've got Omega Cup regulars, you got eNASCAR Coke drivers, and you've got maybe some drivers making their first start in one of these Omega Cup events, and we're excited to have them with us. But there's always going to be that little bit of kind of feel each other out. How can you race against some of the other cars around you? Do people want to be aggressive? Do the other cars around you kind of agree to take it easy? And I think we'll call it growing pains maybe in the first couple laps as these drivers try to settle into this race.
Definitely growing pains for sure, but yeah, there is a wide variety of drivers in this race. Yeah, some of them are pros, some of them are just, your normal iRacing regulars. And, as we go through the field, I know we just had a quick onboard cam with Louis Vega. Louis Vega, he's a semi-truck driver. His day job every week is driving semi-trucks around the West Coast, going all over the place. And when he gets time, he hops on iRacing and runs. But, a little bit of a quick story on him. He actually got a couple starts in the old NASCAR K&N Pro Series West, which is now the ARCA West Series. And he got a couple starts back in 2016 when he ran with Patriot Motorsports Group and ran 2 road course races at Utah Motorsports Park, where he had a couple top 15 finishes, I believe, and he got to run on TV. And for him, he had never raced a real race car in his life prior to that. No late models, no karts, nothing. He just was an iRacer who had some good skill. He got the opportunity to jump in a couple cars because there wasn't a driver for that car for the weekend, and he jumped in and ran well. So now he's here on iRacing, competing in the ERA events. He's driving semi-trucks for his day job. He's living life and doing the best he can. There he goes right there, Louis Vega.
I wonder if he's listening in and appreciates the shout out, or if he's talking to maybe chat, live stream. And one thing you can get away with here on the sim is texting and talking to people under caution. You can't really get away with that behind the wheel of a real race car. And to Jesse's point on, we'll see these, we'll call them onboards, right? Every time we get a peek behind the curtain at a lot of these drivers at home, Justin, I always love seeing the different kind of setups. I mean, we say it over and over. I'm sure we'll see some VR at some point, different kind of wheels, pedals, monitors. That's one of my favorite things, because you can truly custom tailor your sim experience at home to whatever you prefer. And we talk about some of the pros. There's Jordy Lopez, the NASCAR driver. And again, he's got those big, wide, triple monitors that wrap so far around the screen, we can see them with the camera pointed straight at him.
Yeah, and those are one of those types of setups, remember, that are upwards in price range, yes, but the pros have to have it to be able to give them the sense of visibility and be able to have that sense of realism with the direct drive wheel to feel all the bumps and nuances needed to have the right amount of car control in their setups here. So it really depends on what the budget is, but also what the discipline is and how far you want to go in terms of those types of setups. It provides that big dynamic. Then you have drivers like Matt Busa, who is still using, can't tell if that's one of the older wheels or not, but it still looks to be a pretty sturdy setup for his machine starting 10th.
It looks like all reliable is one of his wheels. Matt Busa, a previous Omega Cup winner. He won the Winter Bowl back at Phoenix in December of 2023. So 2 cautions in the opening 10 laps as we get set to try this one once more. Garrett Maines and Wyatt Gray get a flip-flop the front row. This time it is Maines in control. Green flag flies. We're back underway. 88 laps still to go here in Atlanta. Maines clear for the race lead. He'll jump straight up to the outside of the racetrack now as he gets choice of which lane he'll want as they race through turn 2.
Yeah, you can see him just trying to play the lines here, but at this point, it's important to be able to control the top down the straightaways. That's where the momentum seems to carry out, especially on that front straightaway, that bottom of the racetrack. Seems to lose a lot of speed with just the way the banking ramps down, but look at this. Dylan Alt doesn't want to work with Maines, just got shuffled from it.
Yeah, he tried to go to the outside, and he was hoping that Timothy Holmes would go with him. He did not. So Dylan Alt on a one-way ticket drops out of the view of Adam Garza, who makes the move on the inside, basically just by holding position. You can see that yellow 40 of Dylan Alt is going the wrong direction because nobody wants to go to a third lane this early. He is going to have to wait until either a hole opens up on the inside or he gets some support, but I don't see anybody jumping to volunteer. On board with Wyatt Gray, lead car on the bottom of the racetrack, now make it second car in line on the bottom because Garrett Maines came down, Jesse. That's something we're going to be seeing all night long. This time it's Maines. Later in the race, it may be somebody else, but it's trying to police and control both lanes. And Garrett Maines is bouncing between the bottom and the top, trying to block the runs, and he about took himself out off the nose of Wyatt Gray on the backstretch.
It's very difficult to do that. I mean, at this point in the race, you're only 16 or so laps in. and there's still plenty of laps. I mean, we're not getting to the end of the race anytime soon right now. So it's almost like just kind of find where you're at, just kind of hold where you're at. I mean, you might be in the lead, you might lose the lead for a little bit, you might get back in the lead, but you got to chill, because if you get a little too aggressive, you try to block both lanes, some people get impatient and it could ruin your day early. So yeah, it looks like, we got 2 lanes going again, but you never know what's going to happen. And at the end of the day, it's iRacing, right? Go out there, have some fun, send it, and see what happens.
You can see that yellow car up on the outside, still trying to find a spot. Oh, and it's going to be trouble. Daniel Eberhardt's involved, and Dylan Alt, who had been going the wrong direction on the outside, is right where that kicked off. We had just cut to it, and it'll be caution flag number 3. It appeared Justin Alt had still not been able to get down in line double file, so we'll see what role, if any, he played in that incident, but it's hard to miss that bright yellow Chevy up top, and right as we jumped back there, it all fell apart in turn number 2.
Jeff Burke had been up there in the 3rd line also, and it's similar to what we've seen with the incident with Rainwater. Air off the spoiler, gets the 60 loose, and he spins down the racetrack, then the additional contact from Alt as he got loose, and by that point, you're just a passenger if you're in the midst of this incident. Nothing you can do except go along for the ride, take your lumps here. Quite simply, if you're too close to that bumper tonight, Evan, it's like this at the 1.5 miles as well. You can get somebody loose, and you're seeing a lot of drivers get people very loose coming off the corner here right to the spoiler.
Yeah, and there was some sort of damage from something of a prior incident on the bumper of the 60. That was Merck, you mentioned he was up the road. So I wonder if that played any influence on what at least got the 60 out of shape to start. Here's Malik Ray's perspective. Inside line, they start wrecking up top. I always like to be on the bottom if there's an incident like that, because you have that escape route, right? I think it was maybe Eberhardt we went on board with for the very first yellow. He basically hit the eject button, dove down to the apron, and avoided the wreck. And Malik Ray does the exact same thing down the back straightaway. Goes low. If you're up top or in the middle, you don't have the ability to make those big knee-jerk reactions to get out of the way, because you're surrounded by either a wall or other race cars also doing almost 200 miles an hour. And look how busy pit road is this time.
Yeah. With the way the track is, right, with the banking, so it's very interesting. So yes, there is some times where being on the bottom lane is where you want to be if an issue happens, but it also depends on where you're at on the track, right? So if you're going into the corner, right, with the way the banking just increases suddenly, sometimes being on the top isn't that great, because all the momentum is going to be flying up there on the entry. But if you're already on through the corner, let's say you're at the center of the corner, so even the exit, sometimes being on the bottom is where you don't want to be, because cars will be flying down. So it just changes depending on where you're at the track. There almost like isn't really a perfect place, because I've tried both and I've got caught up in stuff being in both. It just, once again, it just depends on where you're at on the track and when the incident happens, and then from there, you can generally guess on where the cars will end up with the type of momentum. Whether you're coming on the exit of the corner and they're all going to be going down, or if you're going on the entry into the corner and all the cars are going to be flushing all the way up to the wall.
And you've got about a tenth of a second, right? A split-second decision when you see the incident happening to take all of that information into account, right? Where the wreck started from, what kind of a racetrack we're on, and make a split-second calculation on what the move you have to make is to avoid it. Here's David Pajal's perspective as they came off of turn number 2. He was on the outside lane. He did not have the ability to go low, and he just needed that last guard that I think was Lopez to not close that gap. It was there until it was not. He ends up with some damage. And again, a lot of the drivers who were involved in that one took some pretty big licks down to the pit lane, and I suspect more of those quick repairs may have been burned. It's 3 yellows in the opening 20 laps of this race. And again, it's funny because we mentioned, drivers early, Justin, they may want to take it easy and play nice, but that's not the case. I mean, everybody, not that any of these moves have come from anybody being ridiculously aggressive or out of line, but they're also not in any rush to get single file and chill out either. I mean, these drivers want this to be competitive, and they've been up on the wheel from the jump.
Yeah, they've been wanting to keep the track position quite simply here. It's not as simple as let's move to the back and ride. For the most part, it's been very calculated, the decisions. It's why Garrett Maines has been running low in the corners, high on the straightaways so far, trying to make sure that he maintains the race lead just with the way the pole's gone. So it's about those optics in terms of the line so far, but it's also about trying to make sure you stay ahead of potential incidents.
Green flag.
Well, green flag flies are back underway, and it's a pretty good start as well for the outside of the front row. You jump on board with Andre Castro, row number 5 for the restart, lined up on the outside in that number 34 machine. Everybody tightly close together. You can see the inside line stacks up a little bit, so off of turn number 2, the momentum heavy favors the outside line.
Exactly what we expected here, potentially, just with the way the restarts have gone here tonight. Just that outside carries so much steam off that initial launch. But at this point, now it's Wyatt Gray's turn to control and be the Pied Piper. He's had a hard time holding off some of the runs we've seen from drivers like Timothy Holmes, but we know Garrett Maines, he likes to lead. He wants to stay in control. He runs these types of super speedway races for fun. There was a stretch a couple years ago where I think I broadcast 6 straight races where he ended up winning those runs. He would like to add this one to his repertoire again tonight.
And Jesse, that was a surgical move by Garrett Maines to get out in front. He was second in line behind Gray, pulled up to the outside, got the push. As soon as he was clear, pulled right back down. I mean, looked like he could have made that move with his eyes closed. That's how methodical it was.
It definitely takes a lot of practice. When it comes to the super speedway style racing, there's a lot of people out there who look at it like, oh yeah, you just got to hold the pedal down, turn left, when it's easy. And I mean, yeah, by yourself, yeah, sure, most people could get around this track by themselves. But when it comes to actually racing in a pack and how that air affects you with all the different aerodynamic changes and turbulence that's in between the cars and how the draft pushes you, pulls you, all these different things, once you understand all those dynamics, which basically turn into like a math problem, once you understand all that, you use it to your advantage, and it helps you leapfrog up. When people try to figure out how you pass someone, it's not just stepping on the pedal even more. We're all mashed to the ground. It's all about understanding how the air works and how you can use it to leapfrog yourself up, get in front of people, take away people's line. There's all these different kind of things you can do, and it all depends on how you are manipulating the air around you.
And you just see a lot of movement, right? Yeah, we're too wide, but sometimes at Daytona, Talladega, they just look like the lines are a little bit, kind of holding their line better and just a little bit smoothly. And again, maybe it's just the close quarters nature of this track, but it just seems like there's a lot of side-to-side movement and a little bit of out of shape that third lane was. The inside had to check up as Busa just kind of got misaligned with Wyatt Gray. And anytime you're not square to the bumper and you're riding on somebody's quarter panel, that is the danger zone. So he had to lift, take a breath, reset, and try it again. But there's a whole lot of staggering going on. And anytime you're out of line and you're kind of in look at the one of Malik Gray right now, in between 2 lanes. He rode the middle of the inside in the middle lane there, finally diving below the 22 of Zelensky in a 3-wide moment. But those are the moments that make me hold my breath.
Yeah, nearly just got hit by Zelensky, actually trying to do that exact same thing again. I think that's partly due to some of the nature of the way these cars race, Evan, because they do wash up on corner entry. You'll see it right about here. They go up a little bit. Zelensky, though, he's taking a lot of risk here. He sees that drivers are leaving the extra cart lane, trying to avoid getting side drafted and getting pulled back and avoiding potential contact. He's not afraid to risk it here and create that line, force the drivers in front of him to go lower down and pull the drivers on the bottom back, because it's something we normally see with Daniel Eberhard in particular. If you leave that line open, usually someone like Eberhard, or in this case Zelensky, likes to fill the gaps and take advantage to leap up another row of cars.
Well, I mentioned we might not see 3 wide early. That comment is rescinded because they are 3 wide, make it at least 2 rows deep, and it's happening inside of the top 10. Now another driver, Cody Harris, jumps up to the outside, trying to get a draft working between him and 2 other drivers. Zelensky's up there. Look at the 54, Sean Conklin. He's thinking about it. 34, sideways and out of shape, and it is going to fall apart in turn 4. Second big mess of the afternoon will take out a host of cars who are in the top 10.
Yeah, Andre Castro got very light there, I noticed, in the middle of the corner. He had gotten loose, forcing his way underneath Harris in 1 and 2. Then by 3 and 4, just with the way the tire wear's gone, that car just started to snap around, bounced off a couple other drivers, Evan. He was just trying to fight in and save it, and it just did not grip up, and that's the concern when it comes to Echo Park. It's a super speedway where the tires wear a fair bit, and you get loose over the run, and in this case, the 34 got loose.
And that's that air, and you just can't see it, obviously. I know, the age-old story is, Dale Earnhardt was so good at these kind of tracks because he could see the air, but, from the TV camera perspective, Jesse, that we're seeing, it's kind of hard to visualize it, but from behind the wheel, you can kind of see the cars moving and how the other cars move in response, and you can get somewhat of an idea of it. And again, when you're staggered 3 wide, everybody's a little bit shifty, you just expect something like that to happen, and it does. And now that we've had another big incident, I think this is the first time all of the race leaders going to be coming down pit road, which is just shy of the 1/3 marker.
Yeah, no, it's it's tough. I mean, air definitely affects all these cars a lot. You start moving around, you get light, you get, tires start wearing, you don't maybe have the grip that you normally would have, because once again, it's not these massive, big, sweeping, wide corners like you get at Daytona and Talladega. It's quicker. So with these cars going quicker through these corners, because they're not as wide as Talladega and Daytona, the tire wear is a lot more. So you're asking a lot more. These tires are wearing them down a little more. You're trying not to have the same level of grip. Things will change. It just gets different. It gets weird. It gets interesting, and it gets tough. So it's not easy doing this. I mean, it may look easy from your TV screen at home or your computer screen or your cell phone screen, but it is not easy to handle these cars, especially in the pack, and in a pack of really great drivers who are all trying to fight forward so they can win part of that $5,000 prize pool.
And we'll have a change up front for the race lead. Timothy Holmes, who was one of those top running drivers, came down to the pit lane. Most everybody on pit road deciding to take what will equate to a 14-second pit stop. That means that's enough time on pit road to go 4 tires of fuel. They have 2 additional tire sets available. They burn 1, and again, pitting at 1/3, that makes the math nice and easy. They can do this same thing in about 33 more laps time and be on strategy. But not everybody pitted this time. Luis Vega and Jordi Lopez stay out, and they will cycle through to the race lead. Vega and Lopez had both pitted on the previous caution flag 13 laps ago, and spent some extended time on the pit lane, presumably because they were involved in that prior incident. Well, they had taken fuel while they were down there. Everybody else had not taken it, so when they all came down pit road this time, those 2 stayed out. So Vega and Lopez, they will instantly jump up to the top positions, and Luis Vega will become the 4th different driver to lead a lap in this race. That's not bad, Justin, considering he was 25th on the grid. So all of a sudden, we're 1/3 of the way in. You're up to P1.
It's a bit of a risk up here, but here's the major thing to consider. There's only 3 tire sets available the whole race, 2 in the pit lane. So quite simply, with the earlier pit stop, with the repairs, if they ended up burning a set thin, your bet's been made. You have to stay out here. You can't afford to burn one because you're going to be in trouble for the later stages if you were to cycle to the front. So they have to see if they can get the cars to stay up here, make sure they don't get loose. Everybody else going to have that fresher rubber to be able to help them for the most part here, to be able to make sure they carry a little bit more grip. These cars seem to be getting loose with the right rear tires starting to burn a little bit more as we get about 20 laps in.
Not too terribly hot. Track temp should be pretty stable for the race, but we'll see if those handling conditions evolve as we go back under green. Vega on the inside. It gets us off and away, and already 3 wide, back at about the number 10 spot. Sandwiched in the middle there is that number 24 car. Middle of the road. Nowhere to go. No way to get out of that position. And now they'll get down to 2 wide, so quick relief for what is Stephen Miles.
Yeah, very good for him to be able to get down here, but as you can see, there's a lot of shake in these corners. It's still fairly bumpy around the racetrack. Wyatt Gray has to have a lot of car control to make sure that wheel doesn't bobble. Someone like Ray, though, couldn't hold on to his line, and at this point, you can see right there, that's exactly what he's talking about with the shuffle. Bobby Zelensky forcing Miles up the track, opens up a lane, allows him to take a spot. If you open up that middle line too much, someone will drive on through it.
And that is I always like to refer to it as the self-fulfilling prophecies. You see a big run up on the outside there for that 47 machine. That's Daniel Eberhardt, who had a big run. Is that it's easy to just say, Jesse, hey, there's 80 laps to go in this race, or, down we're 65 to go. Just take it easy, right? Log some laps. To Justin's point, the problem is if you aren't making moves and you leave the door open, just like that, Wyatt Gray sees the middle lane open, puts it 3 wide, and is going to go trying to go all the way to the race lead until Main shuts the door. Oh, and it's trouble. Lopez is sideways. He'll spin, and it all falls apart. Matt Busa gets through it. But I was just about to try to make the point that if you're not making a move, someone's going to make that move on you. And maybe that's a good way to describe what we just saw in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's constantly making moves. And, once I saw Louis Vega bounce off that white line right there, I knew that could potentially cause some issues. I'm not sure if that was the beginning of it, but maybe it was. Maybe it got some other people a little bit off track, and maybe that, started some type of domino effect. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, everyone is constantly making moves. I mean, once you're sitting still and you're comfortable, well, guess what? The next person's like, you know what? It's my chance. It's my chance to, make up a position or 2 or 3.
Well, a little bit of discussion amongst the drivers, Justin, on the radio as they discuss their perspectives of the incident. Looks like Dylan Alt's night is going to come to a close. Just taking a look at maybe if anybody else. I think Aaron Mack's a lap down. He should get that back this time. Henry Wyndham's 4 down. Jason Rajak is several laps down, but is yet to retire. So nobody is totally out of this race yet until we'll see Dylan Alt will drop off because that car has retired. And the 23 machine is going to get an end of the longest line of penalties. So Wyatt Gray, for being the cause of the caution where the yellow flag came from, he is going to get an end of the longest line of penalty, which means that he is going to get a drop to the rear of the field. That's going to be a big hit for that driver because currently he's scored in the top 3.
Yeah, he's not happy, I don't think, because he hasn't moved down yet, quite simply. But that's part of the factor of close quarters racing once again. I think a little bit with Vega with that apron hit spooked him up the racetrack. Good dodge by Noah Rainwater, though, to be able to choose the bottom, get on through. One of the drivers involved in contact. Never mind. I was about to say he looked comfortable before and things got worse by the time he got to turn 1. Rainwater's been amongst those bounced around a fair bit here tonight. And he's usually one of the drivers super speedway racing that's done well. Everybody else, though, pick a lane, hit the brakes, and watch everyone go along for the ride.
Alex Thurber tiptoes his way through it, and then look out, not done yet. Thought he was in the clear, and another car came spinning up the racetrack, but he's able to dance his way through and avoid it. And mentioned it's our first time here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway in this Omega Cup, but far from the only time we've been super speedway racing. Let's see what Raul Alves' perspective was. As I mentioned, the bottom tends to be the better place for escape routes. What happens with the 78 here? Check it up in front, a lot of smoke. Does he find a hole? That's one of the rare instances where you do find a way through. And that's the other thing is, you can be strategic. I know some drivers, Jesse, may want to hang back early in a race like this. Some, to my point, may say, hey, I want to be on the bottom because I feel a little bit more comfortable avoiding wrecks there. But at the end of the day, those are all kind of just guesses, right? I mean, there is an element of this super speedway style racing that is just luck. You have to be good and lucky, it seems, to find success in these kind of races.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But one thing that does help so that it's not maybe as much of a guess is the more you do these races, the more that you actually are caught up in all these different incidents and you see the different accidents happen. You start learning, once again, the momentum of the crash, right? Momentums of the crashes will help you understand where vehicles are going to go depending on what happens to them. So depending on where you're at on track, whether you're on this front stretch, the back stretch, you're on an entry of the corner, center of the corner, exit of the corner, and then depending on how a vehicle got hit, whether they got hit on their left rear, their right rear, whichever, and then once again, you couple that with where you're on the track, you'll know for the most part where that vehicle is going to go. And once you know that, it will actually help you dodge all the wrecks a lot better.
Going to restart once more, this time 62 laps to go in the Fall Bowl here in Atlanta. Big advantage this time to the drivers lined up on the inside. They'll be 2.5, make it 3 car lengths clear of the drivers on the outside, but the time they hit turns 1 and 2. Maines, Harris, and Conklin lead the way. Now Dylan Jones also clear from 4th. Alvis on the outside, bleeding spots because the outside did not get going.
Yeah, not the greatest of launches right there from that entire group, and that's opening up potential lanes to go. Remember, the 49 is amongst the drivers on older tires here. Might not be able to carry as much speed, not as much throttle in the corners. That opens up things for potentially somebody to shake things up, try and peel away this lead from Maines when they choose. At this point, if you're Alvis and company, it's just ride the lines. Look at this. Most of the field went to the middle to block off the top.
A lot of defensive-minded drivers and a lot of mirror driving as well, as Alvis is now in the center with 3 wide. That's the 62 of Matt Busa that he just breezed past on the outside, but Busa trying to get linked up with Timothy Holmes. Looks like they've got the 5 car up there on the outside as well, so the outside will not go away, and you can see to Alvis's right-hand side. Look, you wouldn't even think there's a lane for a car there. Here they come regardless. Busa leads the outside. They get up to the bumper of Jones, and now you've got Sean Conklin playing the lanes up front. The 54 in control right now holds the middle, but he's going to try to block all 3 of these lanes. These drivers know $5,000 total to the top 5 finishers in this race. They are aggressive, and there's trouble up front. Conklin gets hit as Maines got into his left rear. The 54 saves it, but he loses a ton of momentum off of 2.
And those are 2 drivers that work in the offseason to the Ryko camp, so a little bit of contact there. That's going to be a little bit of a discussion on the radio between them. But once again, we're crashing. An air spin.
Oh.
Trouble in the back. Caution flag flies once more. And it is going to be Alex Jones is one of them. Matt Busa, another. So Busa, top 10 car. We were just talking about where he was in the mix, and it just happened kind of out of nowhere. And one thing that's worth mentioning, it's still early on in this race, but I think one thing that's worth mentioning is, as always, we do have the car incident limit where 18 incident points, Justin, will end somebody's night. And if you're familiar with iRacing, that all makes sense. If you may be new, and we're happy that you're with us, we'll try to give an abridged version of what that means. As you can see what happened with Busa after the 45 just got loose off the corner and got up into him, is basically different types of contact are penalized differently, right? If you get a light bump, you might get a 0x, you might get 1x. That's an incident point. Well, heavy contact is 4. If you amass a total amount of incident points in this race, that would get you up to that magic number of 18, that would end your night. So even if you're escaping some of these incidents with minor damage, you get involved in a handful of them, and that can start to become a problem when you look at that incident number.
Yeah, especially since a lot of these drivers tonight, like Logan Clampett, has been involved in a fair bit of the incidents, believe, in some of the slides. We've seen Busa involved in a couple of them. It limits how aggressive you can be for later on in the race as a result, because you can't risk being up towards the front per se, and can't risk the contact that will end up putting you in the back of the field or in the later stages put you completely into the disqualification phase. So it really affects your mindset as a result of all the incidents if you let them stack up like we've seen a lot of these drivers have tonight with at least 2-3 incidents apiece.
And all of a sudden, you take a look at the run order. Vega's in second in this race. He started 25th. Raul Alves is third. He started 34th. Dylan Jones, Sean Conklin, Noah Rainwater, Malik Ray, they're 5, 6, 7, and 8. They all started in the high teens. So, well, yes, Bobby Zelensky chatted with us pre-race, and he mentioned, you know, I don't feel like I got to be that aggressive, but we kind of chalked that up to Jesse. He's got good track position. Track position is helpful, right? I'm never going to complain about having a better starting position, but that goes to show you the fact that we are only 44 laps into this race, and of the top 10 drivers, only 4 of them started in the top 10. Goes to show you that track position is not everything in a race like this.
Yeah, track position, yeah, it changes a lot. I mean, in these kind of races, it's good at first, maybe, especially if you're in the top 5, but, you know, after a while, it just doesn't matter because everyone gets shuffled around so much. I mean, I think, like even, you know, look at Luis Vega, he was starting back in, you know, I think 25th, 6th, wherever he was, and then, you know, moved up all the way to P1. I mean, you can get shuffled around a lot. So track position where you start, I mean, it's maybe good at first, but after that, it just doesn't matter. The only track position that matters once the race gets going is where you're at that point in the race, and you either want to be all the way up front or chilling in the back trying to dodge the wrecks and then wait till it's your time to make those moves to go up front.
So lights out on top of the pace car. We will get set to restart this race once more. Just want to remind everybody, Luis Vega is on a different pit cycle than everybody else. He pitted about 12 laps earlier than what we'll call the popular call for everybody else running inside of the top 13. That's because he was in an incident, came down to the pit lane when everybody pitted the caution flag. After that, he did not. So it is not an immediate concern, but if we start to get some green flag laps, that may have an influence on when he wants to come down to the pit lane next, because it would likely be sooner than everybody else, as having last pitted on lap 17, whereas everybody else up front last pitted on lap number 29. Curious also, we've talked about handling a lot tonight. How much of a difference do the 12 extra laps on those tires make compared to the rest of the drivers around him? Maines had a great restart on the inside last time. This time it's still good, but Dylan Jones gonna go swing for swing. He left the 49 behind him in the dust, but Jones gets off the blocks great and is right there with the leader in turn 2.
Yeah, that's kind of just his skill set when it comes to Dylan Jones. Good on super speedways. He's been for a long time. It's usually a contender in some of the major events on top of ERA competition. But it shouldn't be a surprise to see Malik Ray hook up with him, recognizing speed for speed, as now those two Fords link up to try and take control away from Maines here and bring Castro with them.
Castro saw the opening, jumped up to the outside, so the poor restart for Luis Vega costs him 2 spots just like that. Was that the tires? Mentioned they're older. That car just did not get going. Can't say it's 100% on that, but always a factor to consider. First look on board with Daryl Young, who started this race way back in P26, is where he qualified, was still plenty safe to the top 40 cutoff. Can he crack the top 10 for the first time tonight? He was 11th that time at the start-finish line.
Right now, I think just trying to see where things set up front. Maines was able to keep the bottom rolling at the very least. Now he's going to play the Pied Piper role at this point. And Jesse, at this point, how difficult is it to be the Pied Piper like this, to hold on to each of these lanes as these momentum swings go back and forth? Maines having to play a dangerous game, trying to take a page out of Dale Jr. or Brad Keselowski's books.
It's tough. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. I mean, you got to do what you can to hold on. But, I mean, at this point in the race, once again, we're barely halfway through. I would suggest just picking one lane, staying in that one lane, just holding off everybody right now. It won't get you anywhere at the moment. At some point, you'll have to give it up. You can't hold it forever.
And I even think I saw a little bit of a bobble there from Alvis, the 78 car who leads the middle lane, right? Any of those kind of aggressive movements of the wheel, high, low, middle, wherever you're trying to go to block the lane, if you're kind of making an aggressive move, these cars feel like they're on a bit of a knife's edge here at Atlanta. Like all Omega Cup races, this is a fixed setup race, so there is no difference between the Toyota leading the bottom, the Ford leading the outside, or the Chevrolet on row number 4. Everybody with an equal car, so what one driver's feeling, they are all feeling right now as you go on board with Crowder.
I'm just willing to work in the middle right now. That outside line, I don't know if you're going to be able to build up a run for the race win up there tonight, Evan, because you just have that side force for the left, and you have to be careful with the wall to the outside. You just need a lot of coordination to get that done. And I think that's why so many people, even when they try this third line or get forced out there, just try and get that rush immediately to get the middle, because there's so little amount of momentum up there, because not too many people are willing to test it out, and there's a risk as the wear goes on the tires that you can actually drift up on corner entry, hit that safer barrier, cause a checkup.
And this racetrack recently repaved, so it's going to be smoother than a lot of them out there, but even the little bumps, when it is this close quarters, going to make a difference. You mentioned somebody might push up on the way into the corner. If they hit a bump and you got a 2-foot gap between you and the car outside of you, that can end very badly. The outside has the advantage right now. About 3 cars up to the outside lane. Alvis, Jones, and Holmes, the red and orange, the white, and the blue cars leading the top side, staying to the outside. Alvis is in no rush to dive down to the inside lane of the racetrack. We'll see if Malik Ray, first time we've talked about him inside of the top 10 tonight, is on the charge on the bottom. He's trying to get his first lap led of the afternoon. Can he find a way by Alvis, or will the 78 sniff that run out coming and block it? Yes, he does. Down to the inside and shuts the door.
I'm a little surprised. Oh, hold on. The 78's going around in the pack.
Trouble, it's just Alvis for now, and another driver's going to come in and tag it, so we will get the caution flag down the back straightaway. What on earth went wrong for Raul Alvis from the front row? We knew that he was going to come down. It's exactly what happened. That car either got loose or got turned. Could have been a combination of both. We'll wait to see the replay to figure it out.
Yeah, I think you and I have the same thought here, Josie. Yeah, got loose with the air again.
Yeah, that's a tough one. He was getting loose. I could tell just even before that, just prior to that, he was slowly getting loose quite a bit, and then it just finally bit him in the butt.
Let's see this high perspective, a bit of a twitch into the corner. Malik Ray is not touching. I don't know if he ever touched him. That's all the air off of the back of that car.
Yeah, and bad luck for Elvis to just have that contact as he came down the racetrack, trying to roll it on down. But at this point, now it becomes, we're going to see a lot of tire wear for some of these drivers up towards the front. Yeah, there's the look. Elvis just fought it hard and just locked it down as much as he could.
Yeah, so DeAndre Kane, you mentioned the one who gets the bit of that one late. Without that contact, we probably stay green, because to that point it was just Alvis, but a glancing blow for DeAndre Kane gets into the car, and then he will drop out of the race, I think, with the damage. So DeAndre Kane's night may be done as a result of that incident. And for Alvis, it's big because, yeah, it hurts enough to have the spin. But if you have the spin and don't get damage, it's one thing. You go right back to work. Now he has the decision, obviously, does he have to come down and get the car fixed, or does he opt to use one of those quick repairs? So it's a whole different problem. If anybody could figure it out, I think he's capable. We were just highlighting how good a job he did from coming from 34th on the grid to get up to the front of the field. Well, he is going to have to put all of that legwork in all over again.
Don't know how it's going to go. We've seen, quite simply, the best way to get up front has been strategy, and quite simply the cycle of the caution flags. That's why I think we've seen Dylan Jones take a risk for now. Next caution flag, if we get one in the same pattern, he'll cycle towards the front. He's net in front for that. But some of the others here are going to be really struggling on tire wear here. Miles, for example, almost 26 laps through. Zelensky was a month, so it took 2 on the previous stop, 20 laps in. We have some of the drivers like Vega on there on 40-lap old tires that had to pit eventually. So there's a lot of dynamics when it comes to the tire numbers here, just with the way this track is. And at this point, some of these drivers just laser focused on one thing. Can they keep it clean and be able to plot and plan, since a lot of these drivers are, I think, just about in the safe zone, if not already in the safe zone on fuel. It's just tires that's a concern.
And the way these things have been handling, that may be a leading storyline, which may not have necessarily been on the bingo card at the start of the race. But single car handling has been important, and now we are past the halfway point, and we'll start to count our way down. When we come back around to take the green flag this time, going to be 43 laps to go in this race. I knew that Atlanta was going to have some chaos, but again, I thought the chaos would be, you know, cars getting hooked and big blocks gone wrong, and we've had a little bit of that, but storyline has been handling. I'm not shocked, Jesse, but I'm maybe a little bit surprised by how prevalent that story has become. And we mentioned these next-gen cars on the sim, by the way, the most up-to-date, the most current with the aerodynamics modeling out of all of the NASCAR cars here on iRacing.
Yeah, definitely pretty up to date, and you know, obviously because it's Cup Series, right? It's a premier series for NASCAR, so you know, and NASCAR obviously has a very great relationship with iRacing, so you know, they're always you know, helping give information to iRacing so they can make the right updates so these cars can feel in iRacing as they do in real life. So all that stuff helps, and these drivers are feeling it. They're getting to know it, and you know, who knows? Maybe one day we can get some real-life cup drivers into some of these races and see what they think, and see how they strategize in these type of races and what they do at different points of the race.
It'd be fun. We've talked about a lot of the drivers as we go back, Reed, in this race. You highlighted it earlier, who have had some real-world experience in trouble already. What went wrong on the restart? It looks like a demo derby in the infield. Something fell apart before most of those cars even got to the start-finish line. Man, oh man, what happened? I think we'll focus in on Noah Rainwater in this one, because something went terribly wrong for that car, and the drivers behind just did not stand a chance. Watch this.
Money shift, quite simply. He went from second gear to first, and the second went to first gear, started to rev up, snapped right, and pure chaos yet again. Huge mistake by Rainwater on the shift. Instead of going up, he went down. Here it is. Watch the lights here.
Yep.
Ouch. Oh, that is the money shift. And the reason they call it a money shift is how much money it costs to replace that engine.
Fortunately not on the sim, but equally as painful, I think, for the driver.
I'm sure there's going to be a day where iRacing starts charging people for replacing body panels and motors and things like that, so people can, you know, stop doing, you know, these kind of things. But the money shift, it happens. It happens when you're using the H pattern shifter. Well, actually, these are sequentials, so I'm not too sure why that or how that even occurred.
Yeah, I'm curious. If we have an onboard with Noah? I don't know if he's one of the cameras we have. I'd love to see if we can see what kind of shifter he has. Because I believe even though these Cup cars, you know, the older generation, Gen 6 and prior, was that H pattern where you have to make that distinct movement up and to the right to get to third, but if you just go straight up, it's in first and you blow it up like that. On the sim, yeah, these cars are sequential, but I think they can probably still set it up with if it's an H pattern, and obviously if it was a sequential shifter or a paddles, I'd be shocked if you could money shift it. And you can see there is, we do have Noah Rainwater, but we cannot see what shifter he's working. And obviously now it's a tough position for him, right? Not only did he cause the incident, right? And he's going to get some damage. He's going to be restarting from the rear of the field. Did not need an EOL penalty for that because he was already at the back to get the damage fixed. So now again, he has to hit the reset button because he'll use his quick fix. He's got a brand new car. He can still win this race. but he's going to have less than 40 laps to go from the back to the front. So it's going to mean every time we have a yellow and we get 3-4 laps taken out of this race, the drivers are going to have to get more and more aggressive. And as the age-old saying goes, cautions breed cautions. Well, drivers getting more aggressive is not good if you bet the under on the number of yellows. This thing's only going to continue to ramp up and get more exciting.
Man, it will get more exciting. It'll be pretty crazy. Speaking of betting, it'd be actually pretty interesting if the sports betting world eventually goes into the sim racing world. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but that would be interesting, especially with all the talk about sports betting going on nowadays.
I think I've seen some stuff with that with other esports, so never say never, right? You never know. I could come up with some crazy iRacing related parlays.
I can't remember which one it is. There is actually, I've seen for the college series, that one site does allow parlays on that for eNASCAR.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, I mean, with sports betting growing and growing and growing, it's only a matter of time before it becomes popular to bet on sim races, which that would, I don't know how you control all that, but whatever. Somebody will figure it out.
We just saw, NASCAR has a creator series with their NASCAR 25 game. We've seen these ERA events, expand beyond just the borders of iRacing itself and some other platforms. So sim gaming as a whole continues to grow year after year. And I even think here in the United States as well is still behind some other parts of the world. We've got a handful of drivers here from different parts of the world, Venezuela, New Zealand, Czech Republic, and more. So I think for the NASCAR style racing, which is obviously the most popular in North America, and I think sim gaming as a whole, still a lot of growth to go. Seems to be the future for a lot of live entertainment. So lights out on top of the pace car. We've had a couple of shorter runs now back to back with Timothy Holmes and Malik Ray going to be lined up on the front row. 39 laps to go before the race winner's got a $4,000 check in their hand. Who wants it more? Great restart for Timothy Holmes, but he's got no help behind him. Andre Castro did not get going. So what do you do if you're Malik Ray? Do you go low? Do you stay in line? He kind of half second guesses it. Now he'll pull down to the bottom.
Yeah, we know Ray is the Piper when it comes to super speedways, but Timothy Holmes already knows Ray's playbook. He does not want to allow that one to get a run here and take over, because we know if Ray takes the lead, he's going to do everything possible to never give that up, just with the mindset Malik has. But he's going to have to be able to work together with some of these drivers here, get some pushes together, because Timothy Holmes is doing a good job holding off the lines. Bobby, though, I think he got forced up to the third line a little bit here. He's trying to hook up with Maines, but it's going to take a lot of effort to get this third line to be able to roll and try and jump the middle here.
Listen, if there's a two-car tandem, then can make it happen. 3 even with Zelensky, Maines, and Lopez. Those are some of the most experienced 3 drivers you could possibly put together. If someone's going to make the outside lane to work, I think it's that group. And Alex Thurber recognizes that. He wants to go to the outside. So on board with Zelensky, there is some ground to be made still before they can challenge for the lead, but they do have some support behind them. And now, just as I say that, it falls apart. Jordi Lopez goes to the bottom, Maines drops to the middle, and Zelensky goes from having all the momentum in the world to being left out to dry off of turn 4.
Yeah, I could see that coming, though, just with the way the outside, you need more numbers, you need some checkouts in the middle line. We've seen some of that earlier with the tire wear. Daniel Eberhard, though, he's getting pushed very aggressively here. Castro doesn't like what he's seeing. Here we got him loose as Lopez going to pass underneath him. Castro gets squeezed out with him trying to pass the 47, who is really loose and is at that 30-lap tire threshold.
And now with Castro up top again, same scenario. What a move down to the middle. I was just about to say, you gotta find a spot in line. I think he made a spot in line with a huge move down across the nose of Garrett Maines. Man, oh man, that could have gotten nasty, but it's that time of the race, right? Inside of 50 to go, now down to 35 laps remaining. You gotta make big moves. Castro knew that he could not afford to drop all the way to the rear, so they are making the gutsy calls necessary, they feel like, to keep them in contention.
Yeah, and you kind of have to be cutthroat if you want to perform on super speedways. It's just some of the skill sets you require. We're seeing that with mains right now, starting to make some lines also. Quite simply, if you're a bit too passive, you're not going to make your way forward. You're going to get at Echo Park freight train by the drivers that will just pass you at the drop of a hat. Looking right now, Jackson Crowder, though, just boxed in on the bottom. He's had a decent night so far in his 38 in Sim 5 on track. Think we might see him potentially be able to move up soon because that middle line is starting to lose some steam.
Yeah, losing a little bit of momentum, and you can see on board with Jackson Crowder there. The problem is on the bottom, it's hard to go anywhere. Unless the outside falls apart, you're just kind of riding in line. When you're 4 or 5 car lengths back in line on the bottom, there's just nowhere to go. You're sandwiched in line. You got cars to your outside. It's just going to be difficult for a Crowder or for, Castro or somebody else down there on the bottom to make a move. And every time they come off a 2-man, another crazy decision for Castro to squeeze in line. This time, it's ahead of Lopez and behind Mains. That 34 is gutsy, but it keeps making my heart skip a beat.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing for me when seeing some of these drivers like Gray. A lot of drivers are getting loose center at the moment. Miles, see him just laser focused on digging right now. One of the drivers that runs Sim 500 competition. He's right now just trying to quite simply see where these cars go, as there's that drift up I was talking about with the tire wear. We're seeing that a lot now as they try and find a way to get around Holmes now with the freight train.
And look at this, as the outside lane checks up, the 89 of Jordi Lopez wants to do it on his own to the outside with no help. Now 4 wide for a moment, because the 18 undercut the 47 of Eberhardt, and Lopez saw it developing, rightfully backs out, and we will go down to only 3 wide for a moment's time. That's how quickly 2 moves at the same time can put you from 2 wide to 4 wide quicker than you want that to be the case. And Jordi Lopez now clear to the outside. I think he's always thinking about what could I do up top. Alex Thurber's there in the mix as well. Zelensky has been quiet the last couple of the runs, but he's at the tail end of this top 14 battle also. So there are a ton of big names up and in the top running positions. Timothy Holmes continues to lead this race, still in search of a first race win in this Omega Cup.
Man, that 4 wide situation, I don't even know how it's even possible to go 4 wide here, but they somehow made it work. Now, it's definitely not something that's possible to happen, lap after lap, that's for sure. But I guess if you make it real quick and everybody stays pretty stable, it's possible.
And you can see the driver going to the outside. That's Eberhardt again. The Bass Pro Shops cover the camo, but again, 3 wide turns the 4 because Zelensky now in the ERA car right to the middle of the field, trying to make the work on the inside. So it's tricky because you can go to the outside anytime you want. You need help. So it's almost a game of trying to bait somebody else into going with you. You need support. We saw you can go to the outside on your own. Lopez did it. It's going to stall out. You need support. And Eberhardt's basically begging. Every time he gets a run, he jumps up. He's saying, let's go, let's go. He's 14th position. All you need is one really good lap up top. You could all the way be alongside the leaders. He just does not have the help. The rest of the cars maintain 2x2. And the next time by, we're going to be 3/4 of the way through this Omega Cup Fallbowl, looking at 25 to go the next time we pass under Barney the Flagman.
Yeah, just running out of time to be able to try and plot and plan here. If this goes green, you're talking about less than 15 minutes of thinking in terms of your mindset here. We know Garrett Maines is going to be one of the drivers, going to try and force something out. Gray's been getting more and more squiggly in front here. See right there a little bit on the entry. But it's about trying to pick your spots here. We know that drivers like Maines want to be aggressive. There's Gray to force it 3 wide for a moment. That hole didn't develop, though. Nothing you can do except slam on the brakes and try and check up as they try and battle it out again for third.
Yeah, that was a surprising amount of discretion because Wyatt Gray could have kept the nose there if he wanted. He lifted and dropped about 4 miles per hour to not stay there, to basically get back in line and try again. So surprised you see that discretion at a Gray, but he knows that if you're lingering on somebody's left rear like that, but you don't have the run, there's a good chance they might be turning down across your nose. And when Wyatt Gray wants to win this race, you got to make it to the end to do so. So you got to make sure if you make a move, you have clearly established position so that nobody's going to chop the nose off and take you out. More 3 wide. Lopez and Zelensky up top. Now Gray to the bottom of the racetrack. No immediate help. Garrett Maines, you're on board with. He'll chase him through the web of cars in turns 1 and 2, but leave him just as quick as he joined him to go to the outside and push Malik Gray.
A back and forth at this point in the lane game. Ray's just trying to play this game of where does he think the speed's going to come? Who do you think is going to be the bigger threat when it comes to some of these moves here? And that outside line has some of the bigger names. You have 3 eNASCAR drivers and a driver that's made NASCAR Xfinity Series starts lined up in the first 4 spots. And Bobby Zelensky trying to force up the third line, for example. Ray knows this game and is going to try everything possible to block off these runs. Look at Maines with a cut.
Big swing of the bat for the number 1 as Garrett Maines going to pull down alongside and clear a Malik Gray. New race leader. It's the man who has led more than anybody else. Make it 34 laps led of the 79 complete thus far. For Garrett Maines, he thrives in these environments, on super speedways, in big money races. In search of a 3rd Omega Cup win, he won the Spring Bowl in Daytona 2 years ago and has won a Fall Bowl before, but it was on a short track. Trouble for Malik Gray into the outside wall. He cuts across Zelensky. He's going to maintain his track position, but at the expense of the 22, and we will stay green somehow.
Again, quite simply, those are the risks you play with some of the lane changes we see here. Won't be surprised to see Ray back up there eventually, but he's running out of time to be able to recover there. All that being said, Wyatt Gray, factory setups backing up at the front of the field. That logo has been up front in a lot of big races the past couple of years. Started originally as a meme, so to speak. When he used to go to his website back around 2021-ish, it used to be just a simple landing page saying, welcome to the website from there. It turned into a real thing for a couple of years, in fact. Still gets support in the league scene in things like Mooncard throughout 2025. It's a real brand at this point for factory setups, and it would be a statement if they can put a $4,000 payday next to their logo.
It would be a good time. Look at that, though. 4 wide behind the leaders through the quad oval, no less, is a sneaky, tricky part of this racetrack. Unlike some of the other racetracks of Las Vegas, Chicago, where that front stretch curve is consistent, the quad oval with those 2 distinct kinks here in Atlanta can make it tricky when you're 3 wide, let alone 4. So a tip of the cap to those drivers. We're able to make it through that without trouble as you go on board with one of the pros in this race. Jordi Lopez, 5th in line on the outside of the racetrack, just not with the speed right now that the outside needs to make progress. But he's got Malik Gray behind him. I would not be shocked at all if those 2 cars link up at some time in the near future. I don't think we're at go time yet, although many drivers have treated this race as such for some time now. Still 17 to go, a little bit of time to breathe before we're in the home stretch.
Yeah, it's the calm before the storm, I think, a little bit right now. Don't forget, Sean Conklin. He's won of these races, too, in ERA competition. Going to be fast. Michael Prince. He was involved in some of the incidents earlier on. Just able to bounce back from several spins, keep the car clean. He's now in the thick of things, in the pack at the very least. It's a great recovery drive for the 31 machine after being in the back much of the day.
It's an impressive drive for him. We've seen a lot of drivers come from the back to the front. Jackson Crowder, we haven't talked a ton about that car either, but he's up and in the conversation. That's the red and white Chevy with the chrome on it, third in line on the bottom. They check up, though. Trouble for the one car. Can Garrett Maines save it? No, he can't. Garrett Maines spins. The 54, the 34 involved. The most dominant car of the night is involved. And that caution will bridge us to the cusp of the final 10 laps in this race.
Man. I mean, yeah, like we said, it just doesn't matter. Track position, wherever you're at, anything can happen. And, you know, yeah, one of the most dominant cars who's been really controlling the race a lot. Man, that's a tough one.
Doesn't matter how many laps you lead. If it falls apart at 14 to go, and again, it started with contact between Maines and the car on the inside line below him, and then he just really never got a hold of it again. They end up 3 wide, and I think, unlike when we saw the last spin off of 2, Justin, I think this one may have been initiated because Eberhard gave him quite a shot to the bumper there.
Absolutely is from that hit, because pushing in the corner here is not as simple as this car can take at, say, a Talladega or Daytona where it's loose in the first place. Watch this here. Maines, great save in the first place. Balanced off of Gray. But right here, Eberhard just tries to give him a shot. Gets him too loose. The bump is so good. And by that point, the pack just implodes. Just that shove right in the wrong spot at the wrong time really shakes up the complexion of this race.
And also, it's going to be shook up for Daniel Eberhard, who is going to be the cause of the caution from the tower. We saw the onboard. He gave the hit that sent Maines around. We know there's going to be a lot less give and a lot of take, and he took, all right, a shot to the bumper of the car in front of him. He is going to get a penalty and sent to the rear. How about Hayden Swank finding his way through the chaos? Again, utilizing that big paved apron on the back straightaway to find a way through. So he is able to survive, and Hayden Swank going to be restarting inside of the top 6. Is got a lot of cars down pit road this time through.
And I think for the most part, it's just people getting damage repairs. Give credit to Vega. He made it near 70 laps on his stint with the tires. He was able to survive just riding the bottom there, but with that incident, not going to have the track position situation. Here's the thing, though. Your driver's at the very front of the field. 57 lap stints. It's going to be a little bit tight on the gas mileage here too, Evan, with the way the fuel tanks run here at Echo Park. It's going to be tight if we go to GWCs for those lead cars.
You brought it up. It's about that time to start talking about it. Up to 3 attempts at a green-white checker finish should it be necessary, and should this race not be completed inside of our scheduled distance of 100 laps here tonight. Means we would have maybe enough buffer for 2 more incidents inside of green flag conditions before we have to start talking about overtime procedure. And again, if we need to get to that point, which super speedway racing, you know that's the case, we'll talk about it. And, you know, fuel's always interesting, Jesse, because you have that extra part of the race where, you know, if we go to overtime, we could need to go 2 laps beyond 100. If we burn all 3, you could be talking about a dozen extra laps. We see the same thing in the real world as well, kind of hard strategy-wise to figure out how much fuel you want to put in the car, because filling it up to go to lap 100, very different than 112. And, you know, do you sit in the pit lane longer to get more fuel for laps that may not happen? It's a educated guess, I think, oftentimes from on top of the box.
Definitely an educated guess for sure. But I think, you know, filling up just a little bit more than what you think you might need is probably the smartest way to go, because, yeah, will that cost you maybe a position or 2? Probably. But as we've seen in here, I mean, you can gain positions very, very quickly. So it's really just an educated guess. Just, you know, do a little bit more than what you think you need, because anything can happen, and last thing you need is to run out of fuel before the end of the race. That would just be terrible, because you'll probably cause a wreck.
Well, let's see what is in store for us for the final 11 laps of this race as we get set for restart this time by. It's going to be Wyatt Gray and Timothy Holmes on row number 1, Jackson Crowder and Stephen Miles on row number 2, Hayden Swank, Peter Smetana, your top 6. Kursanov, Harris, Rainwater, Ray, your top 10. Still a total of 34 cars on the lead lap who want a shot at $4,000. Green flag back in the air. Steady start for the top 10. Slightly better for the inside. That's a big push on the bottom as Gray's getting the shove from Crowder.
Hard work to try and get this line going as fast as possible. Swank right up on the wheel. He's been towards the mid to backpack and bumped a couple inches tonight. First time with an opportunity here as Crowder said he'd eventually find his way up to the middle. He just found it coming at 10 laps to go, and he's got Holmes moving to work with him.
He's got the help, but he gets touched on the quarter panel. Big moment, a second big moment for the 5, and somehow Crowder's still there. Here comes the outside now. Jordy Lopez with Malik Ray and Garrett Maines in tow as they shower sparks in 1 and 2 as they drug it all the way along the wall through the center of the corner. They're trying to get to the outside. It's there going to be room up top. Meanwhile, Hayden Swank on the bottom. Second car in line, trying to give a push to Wyatt Gray. They want to just keep their speed up. They don't want those cars on the third lane to get anywhere near them.
And look at that with that third line. Absolutely, though. That's involved with the NASCAR drivers. Some of them involved in some of the incidents as of late. But the thing is, that middle line's crowding very aggressively. It's going to be a tight squeeze. It's Ray in the wall. In fact, it was so tight.
It's go time in Atlanta. 3 wide through the entirety of this lead pack. Can they possibly make this last for the 8 laps that are still to go in this Omega Cup Fall Bowl? Crowder clear for the race lead. 2 wide for 2 rows behind him, then 3 wide for everybody else on back. There were 27 cars within 1 second of the lead the last time by the start-finish line. Crowder cannot block the bottom. Here comes Gray to the inside. Where does Timothy Holmes go? Does he push the car in front, or does he go to the outside? He'll stay in line for the moment.
Whew, man, you can throw a blanket over the entire field. They are all right there. I have no clue how nobody. I don't even want to speak on it. Just, this is crazy.
Still riding out in front for the 5. You got to imagine for Crowder, he's not looking out front a lot, probably driving in the mirrors still. Third on back, still there, but it's about 5 rows off of the lead. Jordy Lopez, the lead car up top. Is he going to get the run he needs to join this conversation? Right now, the answer is no. He does not have the speed yet to be able to get up there and be a part of this. And look at Wyatt Gray now. He lost his drafting help from behind. He also lost several car lengths down the back straightaway, meaning the inside has now a 2-car length advantage. Holmes is second. Crowder the leader. 5 laps to go in Atlanta.
Wow, we saw a car get pushed all the way to the inside, but luckily nothing crazy happened.
I think we are seeing crazy happen with these lane changes and these blocks here. How about Miles? He's been so up on the wheel this entire night. Every time we look at him, he's just about on top of it. He's got a chance to go for the lead here, but right now Crowder's just got almost too big of a cushion on the outside.
Yeah, he's got a big gap, and here's going to come a big run for Timothy Holmes. He'll get a good square shot into the bumper. That's good news for Crowder because it evens it up. But how about Steven Miles on the bottom? Has not led a lap yet in this race, and he's right there side by side trying to get the win. Cody Harris, third in line. Here's his perspective. Does he stay true, or does he think about going to a third and outermost lane? Going to be 3 wide and trouble behind. Spinning, wrecking across the start-finish line. This is going to send us to overtime.
This is going to be wild. I thought they might. At first, I didn't think they were going to get to the end. And then I was like, you know what? They might get to the end. And then the wreck happens. And now we're going to have the overtime situation, which, I mean, this is going to get pretty nuts.
You see how it basically went all the way from turn 4 to the start-finish line as that wreck just did not stop. And It was rainwater right there. A touch to the left rear quarter panel that got that car out of shape. He actually keeps it straight, courtesy of the wall, and then a huge hit up and in the air goes, I think that was Luis Vega, who we had talked about up front earlier in this race with a chance to win it. He gets pile driven into the outside wall, and that car is in pieces on the front stretch. And he is forced to try to, he's going to have to take a tow to pit road. He could not drive that car. Look at this hit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Very, very hard hit right there. I mean, we're going to have to check on him in the virtual infield care center and just, make sure he's all right. But he's definitely going into the virtual concussion protocol, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's one of those, if you've got your force feedback cranked up, look out, man. I mean, I've had headphones get ripped in half from some crazy force feedback in a wreck, and I mentioned the kinks in the quad oval there. Obviously, those are a factor in racing side by side, but it almost made it so that he was headed straight onto a wall the way it lined up. Let's check this onboard perspective out. The wreck is happening in front of him, Justin. And again, he thinks, all right, maybe I'm good, and then he just gets hooked by the cars behind, and again, he tried to drive away. The car would not budge. Everything underneath that race car was in pieces. And even if he did have a quick repair left, because he had to tow, he's going to have to wait X amount of time on the pit lane before he can roll. So that will essentially end Vega's night.
Yeah, he's lucky he didn't do a barrel roll when it came to the incident. But I think the potential for chaos is about to reign supreme here because, quite simply, we've seen how aggressive some of the drivers have been willing to block up to the high line, all the way to the wall, down the back straightaway here tonight. Jackson Crowder's going to have to play all the games in the book here if he's going to try and hold off the run because, quite simply, we know that Miles is digging first time up front in terms of being up in second this evening. You have our drivers like Wyatt Gray that have been successful. Plus, you have the eNASCAR drivers that are also going to be amongst those with an opportunity to streak up to the top of the track, potentially like Garrett Maines here. This is about to get nerve-wracking if you're Crowder because you're going to have your head on a swivel and be able to hold on to the wheel very tightly because there's going to be a lot of force coming in to that back bumper down the back straightaway with the block we're probably about to see here.
And if you're maybe the first time with us and enjoying a little bit of NASCAR overtime, we'll explain it to you. This will be attempt number 1 of up to 3 at a green-white checker finish. And it's exactly how it sounds. This time by, we'll take the green, we'll run a lap, take the white. If we get to the white flag without an incident, well, no matter what happens, we race to the checker. If we do have a caution flag before a full lap is completed, we'll hit the reset button. We will try again, and again, we will do that a maximum of 3 tries. Normally, on some of the bigger plate tracks, Talladega, you're not really in a position to even start thinking about a move till you get to the back straightaway. But because it's such tight quarters here in Atlanta, I'm a little bit nervous about getting a full mile and a half in because I think we're going to start seeing moves in turns 1 and 2. And again, you look at the cars on the front row, Crowder on the bottom, the red and white number 5 on your screen, 38 on scoring. He is going to start thinking immediately about how he can block any run that comes. It's overtime in Atlanta. Great restart to the inside.
Yeah, that outside line working hard to get the momentum. Interestingly, though, Miles elected to go to the bottom here. That outside just is not getting anything going. Gray is like he's been caught at quicksand here.
And look at the outside. Crowder saw Holmes going high. He goes up to block. It's not going to matter. Caution and trouble behind them on the back straightaway. Alex Jones is into the outside wall. The Venezuelan's got damage to the right front of his car. And we will go for an attempt number 2 after he had trouble coming off of turn number 2. And a couple of cars will get some glancing blows. Let's take a look right there. Gets a hit in the quarter panel. It's just 2 cars at that point, but right there, third one gets a piece of it.
I think a couple people may have reached the incident limit there, too, with a couple people popping up. Yes, indeed, Daniel Eberhardt and Derek Fulton around that time did get the DQ mark. So, few drivers reaching that limit we talked about of 18. It's happening for some.
Mentioned it earlier. Those incidents are going to add up, and I guess at this point, you can't really race any differently, no matter what incidents you've got, right? I'd say maybe if you started to get close to half of those, the total of 18 and early in the race, maybe you back off, you take it easy. But at this point, if you're worried about making contact with a car, you're not going to win this thing. I think everybody, no matter what that number is, they're very aware of it, how close they are, if anybody else is close. But at this point, you kind of got to push that stuff out of your mind, Jesse. You can't really even think about, what guys around you, who you don't know. You just got to go. I mean, every decision you make when you get to overtime is just reactionary. It's kind of hard to think this one through.
Yeah, it's just go time now. I mean, there really isn't a lot more strategy because there isn't a lot more time. It's just go time, and be smart on how you do it, right? I think throwing crazy blocks will definitely get you knocked out of the race, but just being smart, following where the least path of resistance is, that's what you got to do. If you want to win, follow the least path of resistance, and you'll get there. But if you try to just bulldoze over people, unfortunately, it's probably going to end your day and somebody else's day.
Fortunately for the leaders, if there's any silver lining, it's that the incident came from behind them, Justin, so it won't shuffle up the running order, at least for the cars that are up front in this race. The timing of the yellow, a little bit interesting because we did see a challenge up front where your leader, Crowder, kind of saw what was coming. He felt Timothy Holmes letting go of the wheel, moving up the hill as they came off of 2. He went up to block. That allowed Miles to go to the inside, but the caution flag came out before Miles pulled alongside Holmes. So if that caution came 5 seconds later, you may be looking at Miles in second, Holmes in third. It may seem insignificant, but that's the difference between being on the outside or the second car in line on the bottom. And when it's such a short sprint to the end, that positioning could mean everything.
It truly could here, especially if you want to be able to set yourself up for a chance to win the race here. But for a lot of these drivers here, it's now going to be, can you get the run? Can you time it up? Can you get yourself the opportunity to push here? There's a lot of concern if you are amongst those in the mid-pack to having a chance unless attrition builds up. For Wyatt Gray, I think it was an opportunity lost with how poor that launch was from the outside line. If he was able to get himself up to speed, get a side drop, pull the bottom line down, keep it at least somewhat secure, he might have been at least be able to be up there. Maybe we wouldn't have seen those drivers then blend to the middle line. But now he's going to be down behind Timothy Holmes and behind Cody Harris, which puts him in a tough spot to try and win this race, to have to pass too many cars to close it out here.
Well, good for him for having a smile on his face. I think I'd probably be too nervous if I was sitting in the number 5 position and a green-white checker away from having a shot at least part of the $5,000 purse that is on the line tonight. Again, there will be prize money for the drivers in second, third, fourth, and fifth, but it is heavily prorated to the guy who takes home the race win. $4,000 may be just 2 laps away for one of these drivers at the front of the field. Crowder again leads from the inside. Timothy Holmes will not restart this race. The 5 on the bottom controls when this race goes back green, so it puts that lead car on the outside at a significant disadvantage. What can one of the best in Holmes do to hang with Jackson Crowder? It's attempt number 2 of 3 at ERA Overtime in Atlanta. Green flag flies. We're back at it. Bit of wheel spin on the outside. You can see Harris in fourth watches on. The inside has the upper hand.
Yeah, yet again, that inside line got the better jump here. They're not connected like they need to be up top side. Now it becomes the question, what does Crowder do? How about Hayden Swink going outside?
He goes to the outside. Crowder saw it coming. He goes up and shuts the door. 3 wide for 6th on back. Here comes Stephen Miles on the inside. Miles and Crowder side by side of the white flag. This race is official.
Where will Crowder be able to block? Right now he's having a hard time being able to clear back Miles. Look at Bobby Zielinski pushing the 24.
Still no third lane. The 5 goes up and blocks. Now to the middle of the racetrack. Here comes more. Trouble behind. Big wreck in turn 3. Miles is sideways. Jackson Crowder. Is he going to be home free? Off at turn 4. No challenge from behind. And Jackson Crowder survives and is victorious at Echo Park.
Holy moly, what a race. Man, I mean, there was just, everything was happening on that final lap there. It was just complete war zone, but he stayed in there. Jackson Crowder, he got it. He got the win. $4,000. Holy moly.
And I was just waiting for the third lane to show up. It did not show up high, Justin, because they blocked it on the back straightaway. A middle tried to form. There was a big mess behind them, and then Bobby Zelensky giving everything he could to push the leader Miles on the inside. It ended up being too much. Jackson Crowder is victorious, leads 16 laps en route to a double overtime victory. And it will be ERA Omega Cup race win #1 for that man right there.
Been on the sim for a long time in terms of his racing ability and setup side of things. Seen a fair bit of Jackson Crowder. Here's some of the contact in the back of the field behind you. Garrett Maines became a ping pong ball to end off the race. He was trying everything to hold on to spots and then collects 2 ESCO drivers good measure as they continue to wreck for 2 corners.
And somehow, without lifting, manages to serpentine to the stripe. What a finish as we take a look at tonight's full race results. And an incredible trend will continue in this series for the victory going to Jackson Crowder is that in the history of this ERA Omega Cup, we have never had repeat winners in back-to-back races. We've never even had multi-race winners win back-to-back races. Every time we come out, at least every other race, there's a new name added to the list of race winners in this series. It goes to show you how hard it is to win these prestigious events. And Crowder's final margin of victory going to be just 5/100ths of a second over Timothy Holmes in second and Wyatt Gray in third. We'll try to get those drivers in and available for us in just a few moments to chat. Cody Harris and Bobby Zelensky come home instead of the top 5. They are the cut for the money, so it's an all-American payout for the top 5 with Raul Alves, Garrison Hogan, Peter Smetana, Sean Conklin, and Yakov Kursanov, your top 10.
11th spot today goes the way of Garrett Maines after he became a ping pong ball, bounced around everywhere at the end. Blake Ray ends up finishing 12th with Miles having a chance to win. Contact with the bump through 3 from Bobby Zelensky relegates him instead 13th. Larry McDonald 14th with Hayden Swank, who had a chance for the race win in 15th. Adam Garza, very quiet second half of the race in 16th. Logan Clampett down in 17th with Alex Jones 18th. Aaron Mack and Jacob Smetana, the top 20.
Continue it on through. Jordy Lopez ends up 21st in this race. He was somebody who started up front in the conversation. Alex Thurber in 22nd. Matt Busa, bit of a quiet night. Appeared at times, couldn't put the full one together. He's ahead of Chris Wetz and Daryl Young, who round out your top 25. Andre Castro is a P26 with Chase Swank in 27th. Cole Larson, 28th. Michael Prince, 29th. And Noah Rainwater had an incident early, dropped to the back, and then almost made it all the way back up front until another late race one got him. He'll be P30.
31st, Henry Wyndham, 1 lap down. Then the 36th, David Herschel down 32nd. Luis Vega at one point was up towards the front. He finishes 33rd, 3 laps down. Derek Fulton and Daniel Eberhard reached the DQ limit with Jeff Merck as well. Dylan Jones finishes 37th. Then Jason Rajkok in 38th. DeAndre Kane and Dylan Alt round out your starters today. 40 making the grid, remember.
It's a look top to bottom at tonight's full race results. And remember, those 40 had to make it in earlier tonight in knockout qualifying, where 52 drivers attempted to make this race. Only 40 made the cut, only 5 made the money, and only 1 is the winner. Let's head down to Victory Lane and get a word with tonight's race winner. Jesse, and I'll let you kick it off. Let's get a word with a first-time Omega Cup winner. It's Jackson Crowder.
Man, Mr. Crowder, how does it feel? I mean, you got quite a bit of money coming your way. I mean, how was that ending right there? I mean, I know you were fighting just to hang on to it there, just to stay in it in the hope that nobody was going to take you out. What was your thoughts going into that last lap?
Yeah, I mean, me and Tim are good buddies. We're real life buddies. I mean, we were talking through that. We were in Discord together. I knew he was going to stick to me. I just didn't know with the people on fresh tires. You know, we were really on edge there, 7-lap old tires. I didn't know if somebody really made a move on us. I didn't know if we'd be able to hold it. It was pretty loose there in the lead, and I know he was plowing behind me. It was kind of hard for him to stay on my bumper. So that was the main thing we were worried about, was just that big run coming.
So, you know, being in an event like these ERA Omega Cups, I mean, what does it mean to you to win something like this? I mean, because there aren't a lot of events out there who, you know, have these big prize pools, who have these kind of level of racers racing in it. What's something like this mean to you?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've ran these before. I think I actually ran the first one y'all ever did at Nashville. Retsoff won it. I ran second in that one. And I think I ran third or fourth at Talladega one not too long ago, or not long after that. But I kind of haven't ran these in a little while. So obviously, you know, I think I got 1,000 for Nashville. 4,000 is awfully quite a big difference there.
Yeah, it definitely is a big difference for sure. But I mean, it's awesome. You know, I mean, you've been coming back and running these events, and that's what it's about. It's about, you know, going and running the ones that you want, right? Some people run every one of them. Some people just want to run a couple. But you jump into the right one. I mean, this is it. Atlanta, you came out and showed out, and now you won. So I mean, for someone like you, you know, with that kind of money, I mean, what do you do with it, right? Are you gonna, it's for Christmas money? What are you gonna do with it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's actually funny you say that. I actually thought about it last night. I was online looking at a bunch of expensive jackets, being that, you know, winter's coming out, and I was looking in my closet. I really don't have anything, so probably buy a couple jackets, get a couple of nice things. But you know, I mean, $4,000 is cool and all of this. You know, probably invest some of it. You know, make it a little bit more than what it is.
Hey, that's very, very smart. That's awesome. Well, you know, thank you so much for competing in the events, and, you know, great job on winning this one, especially a tough one like this where anybody could have jumped up there and took that win. And you ended up hanging out right there at the end. You were in the right spot at the right time, and you took it all. So good job. Good job.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And as I give a shout out real quick, I definitely could have won this without Timothy Holmes right there and staying committed to me. So I definitely got to think a lot of this for him. It wouldn't have happened without him.
Awesome stuff.
That's your race winner tonight. Big congratulations to Jackson Crowder, who adds his name to the list of race winners here in the ERA Omega Cup. And well, he mentioned a shout out to Timothy Holmes. Let's talk with the driver who came home in second position in this one. Timothy, you got the second most laps led out of anybody. It'll end in a P2, but what a night nonetheless for you.
Yeah, man. It was definitely stressful. At one point, I thought I was done whenever Jordy got spun early on. I thought I was in that one pretty good, but ended up getting out of it, and I felt like I did a pretty good job staying up front all race. And me and Jackson are pretty close buddies, and once he got up there, I kind of had somebody to work with, so it made it a lot easier. And yeah, I just stuck with him right there at the end, and it worked out.
Was the intent to stick with him the whole way, or was that a turn 3 and 4 decision? Because you guys went way up the hill coming off of 2. Was that you trying to go high and him throwing the block, or was that you chasing him up the hill?
Nah, I had even told him before the green white checkered right there, wherever he was at, I was with him, because it's hard to win one of these things by yourself. So yeah, I told him I was going to stay committed to him, and I just followed him, and it worked out.
I don't know if you heard him chatting with us a minute ago, but he gave you a lot of credit for helping him out in that one. Obviously, you had a lot of success in this race, right? You start up front, you lead a ton of laps. We've done a lot of Dega and Daytona events here in the Omega Cup before, but nothing with this new Atlanta. We've had it for a couple of years now on the sim, so it's not new to you guys on the track, but new to this series, and it seemed like handling was a huge point of contention tonight. How did this race play out compared to what your expectations were?
Yeah, I can't lie. The tire wear was a lot bigger than I expected it to be. Right there on that long run that we got at the end of it, I could hardly keep up with the guy leading the lane I was in, just because I was getting really tight behind him. And even when I was in the lead a lot, I was getting really loose. So tire wear was definitely a big factor, and that really played a big decision at the end right there. I I wanted to pit, and I talked to Jackson, and he thought we should stay out, so we decided to do that. And I really did not think it was going to work out, but ended up working out pretty good.
We'll let you get out of here, and you've got some prize money coming your way, courtesy of the P2 finish tonight. It'll be $500 headed your way. But what we got you? Anybody want to say hi and thanks to?
Just thanks to Jackson right there for working with me. That's about it. Thank you.
We appreciate it. It's Timothy Holmes, P2 tonight in Atlanta. And again, we'll set a career best, we'll call it, for him in this Omega Cup. Third step of the podium goes to Wyatt Gray. Also had a great night, led 15 laps en route to the podium. And Justin, you're going to get a word with him now.
Yes, indeed. Here as things get lined up, Wyatt, talk us through your emotions in those final stages, because you're in position in the lead for a long while tonight. You led 15 laps. Talk us through those final laps, though, in your factory setups machine.
Yeah, when we got that yellow with I think it was 15 to go, I knew it was a tough call for tires or no tires, but since I was leading, I basically said, no way I'm giving up the lead with 12 to go. So luckily we got those yellows that cooled the tires down, but we kind of got stuck on the top for a few of those restarts. And I feel like on the long run, the top is actually faster because you get that side draft, but on those short runs, it's just deadly. And luckily we could put it up the middle there at the end and get a podium.
Indeed. Here, overall, how would you describe the emotions to be able to have a finish like this in an event such as this, especially knowing, I know some of the backing with Kyle Wendt, for example, going back a couple years ago to his success in major super speedway events, your name trying to add yourself to that list to put factory setups up front.
Yeah, I mean, everything's different when you're racing for $4,000. Just some normal A-Fix in Atlanta, you're not going to care. But when you're racing for $4,000, I'm sweating, I'm breathing hard, everything's on the line. So it's always fun racing when the stakes are this high.
With that being said here, if you were to do this again, what would you do differently to get yourself that $4,000?
Honestly, in this situation, I don't think I could have done anything. If we came down for tires, we still would have had to restart P10. And obviously, I think Malik, Jordy, Garrett, those are the first guys on tires, and they never got up there. So I don't think there's much we could have done.
Well, Wyatt, once again, congratulations on the podium tonight, getting yourself third spot. That prize total, $200.
Not bad, not bad.
Well, big thanks to Wyatt, Timothy, and Jackson for giving us an opportunity to talk with them post-race in this one, as they will walk away as prize money winners tonight from the Echo Park Speedway. So does Cody Harris and Bobby Zelensky, who will round out our top 5 finishers in all. And well, we knew that we would see some firsts here in this Omega Cup with the first ever trip to what formerly has been known as Atlanta Motor Speedway, now the Echo Park Speedway, and it did not disappoint. Maybe a higher caution number than I thought, but I think, and you heard it there talking with Jackson and Timothy, I mean, they did not anticipate, Jesse, tires and tire wear to be as big of a deal it was. So this was a chaotic race. This is what I thought every lap would be, right? If there's going to be chaos, it's going to be because people are drafting each other beyond the limit. And we had those moments, but you had to be smart. You had to keep the car under you, to be cognizant of the air and the tires, and that added more to this race than I was anticipating coming into it.
It took some driving. You had to drive. You had to understand what the car's feeling like. How much wheel can I put in it? Where are you at on the track? Who's behind you? Who's in front? Because if people are behind you and no one's in front, maybe you're getting a little bit loose. If people are in front of you and maybe not so much behind you, maybe you're getting a little bit tight. So there's all these different situations where you have to truly be a driver on the track. Even though you're drafting and doing the whole super speedway style racing, it still took driving. So these drivers out there were having to be what they are, drivers. And that's what it took at the end of the race, to be a driver on old tires. Because if he wasn't, he would have spun, and that would have taken everybody out.
And we get all these looks, Justin, at how crazy the final lap was. Yeah, we can talk about how we didn't expect it to, tires to matter and for some of those. But at the end of the day, you get a green, white checker on a super speedway. I mentioned at the very early parts of this race, you need a certain mixture of skill and luck And that's what it came down to in the end. A couple of drivers had a chance to win it. At the very end, Crowder was the one in the right position to get the job done.
Able to play the lines perfectly in the very end, hold off all the momentum with the high side, while also getting the luck of the chaos on the inside. A lot of people trying to gain a lot of spots late. Some people wouldn't take it 4 wide, but a wild end to this one to be able to see Jackson Crowder get the W.
And a milestone night as well, Jesse, before we close in this ERA Omega Cup, tonight marking the 20th event for these Omega Cup special events. It dates all the way back to the very first one we did in December of 2020 with the Winter Bowl at Nashville. We've seen so many different winners, so many different tracks. And tonight, the 20th event continues to prove that these races matter in this community. Big names coming out, big payouts. Again, over $100,000 over the history of this series has been dished out, and we got to see some of the very best participate in number 20.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome to see how long, how far this whole thing has come. And yeah, we're in the year 5, and over 20 events we've run, and we've run on multiple platforms for multiple games. But to see this one, still growing strong, it's been great. And we look forward to future stuff. We look forward to continuing to advance how we're doing it and make it better. And yeah, we just want to thank all of the participants who participate, and all the folks who are watching who want to participate. You have a shot, come in, come race.
Yep.
Go to www.eragaming.gg. Head to the website, get signed up and become a member so that you can compete for the prize money. And even if you're not a paying member, you can still come compete. You just won't be able to win the prize money. But if you want to win that money, become a paid member, get that speed pass through Channel 3. So Channel 3 is our partner with these events, and they help us get everything organized with our members and communicate to our members. So reach out. If you're interested in being in the events, reach out and let's get you part of the group so that you can come in and race. And even if you don't finish first your first event, hey, you never know. One day could be your opportunity and you could win, and it'll be a sweet, sweet victory.
And who knows, Winter Bowl probably coming up soon, so it's never too late. Jump in, get in on the action, and to be a part of this the next time we do it. Again, that's eragaming.gg. You can get to the Channel 3 site from there, or you can just go directly to Channel 3, that's the number 3.gg/ERA, and get on track and to be a part of it the next time we do it. We look forward to the next 20. But until then, that is going to be it for us here tonight from Atlanta. On behalf of our entire team at Race Spot TV, iRacing, and your broadcast crew tonight, for Jesse Wuji and the entire group at the ERA who organizes this, for our producer Hugo Luis, for Justin Prince, and myself, Evan Pasoko, want to say thanks for tuning in and congratulations to another first-time Omega Cup winner, Jackson Crowder, victorious here tonight at the Echo Park Speedway.
Do you want to go from virtual to reality? Racing in the eRacing Association Omega Cup Series gives you that opportunity. We put on virtual events 4 times a year with $5,000 on the line every single time. $4,000 of that goes to the winner. And the top 5 now get an opportunity to go drive real-life race cars with the NASCAR racing experience at one of their 18 locations nationwide. Here's your chance to go from virtual to reality. Head to the link in our bio so that you can get registered with ERA now.